Hello, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The webinar will begin shortly, and we will give you the time to settle. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the webinar Nisai UTA event of Nisai. My name is Mei Huang, Student Success Officer of Nisai Global School, and I will be the host for this event tonight. Joining the event today, I am honored to introduce our esteemed guest, Ms. Diệp Trần, University of and Career Advisor of Nisai Global School, Ms. Harriet Coutinho, International Country Coordinator of the University of Texas at Arlington. Dear distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, in years of dedication to excellence in learning, teaching, and leadership, Nisai Global School encompasses online learning provision and blended learning provision in order to support students globally with a personalized and high-quality education. Our most prioritized target is to offer students the most suitable path to lead to their tailored dream. The webinar today aims to provide parents and students with the suitable information regarding the international pathway and the available opportunities for Nisaiers at the University of Texas at Arlington, the UTA, one of the top universities in Texas, USA. The agenda for the event today includes, first, how Nisai helps you achieve your American dream. Second, students' opportunities at UTA. And the last one is questions and answers. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to invite everyone to settle and listen to Ms. Diệp Trần, University and Career Advisor of Nisai Global School. Ms. Diệp Trần will introduce us to Nisai Global School and how Nisai Global School support students in achieving their international dreams. Please welcome Ms. Diệp.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to share my screen. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to the webinar between Nisai and the University of Texas at Arlington. It's such an honor for me to be a speaker at tonight's event. And my name is Diệp, and I am a University and Career Advisor at Nisai Global School. So as you know, the United States has always been an attractive destination for students who want to study abroad. There are around 4,000 universities and colleges in the US for students to choose from. And that's why applying to study in the US and achieving the American dream can be pretty overwhelming and challenging. So in my speech today, I'll share with you how Nisai can help you achieve that dream. My speech will be divided into 3 parts. First, I'll introduce Nisai and the Cambridge qualifications. Second, I'll talk about why students should study in these states and how your IGCSE or A levels can help you with it. And finally, if students want to apply for sciences and business major, what subject should they learn? Okay, so let's get started. First part, Nisai and the Cambridge qualifications. First of all, let's talk about Nisai Global School. So who are we? We are a Cambridge international school that provides students worldwide with the Cambridge curriculum, and this expands from lower secondary to A levels. Nisai was inspected by Ofsted, the Office for Standards in Education, Children's Services and Skills, as a good provider. In addition, we received awards such as IQM Inclusion Quality Mark and IQM Center of Excellence for our standard and quality in teaching and learning. Nisai Global School is a diverse and global community with hundreds of students coming from different countries, different cultures, and different backgrounds. We have committed students, those studying at both mainstream schools and Nisai Global School. We have homeschool students, those studying at home with Nisai. We also have talented students, those who focus on their talents, but also want to achieve knowledge. And finally, SEND students, those with special education needs. As I have said, Nisai Global School provides students with the Cambridge International Curriculum. For students who want to study abroad, having Cambridge qualifications is a huge advantage because this is accepted in several universities around the world, and studying Cambridge programs is also a great step to prep students for study in college. So after students complete the lower secondary school program, they will move to a higher one, which is IGCSE, and with a system of more than 70 subjects, including 30 foreign languages, schools will be able to consider teaching subjects that suit the needs of the student in their region. At this level, students can choose subjects based on their abilities and interests. And taking the IGCSE is also an important step before students decide to move on to the next program, like the A levels. And the IGCSE program will last for 2 years, and you will take the exam at the end of year 2. So what about A levels? So this is a highly regarded international program with thousands of students who have successfully applied to world's top universities. The program has a system of more than 50 subjects. Normally, students tend to choose 3 or 4 subjects to focus on in-depth study, and they will choose the subjects that are suitable for the field they want to study at university or suitable for the profession they want to pursue in the future. And A levels includes 2 years of study, and students are very flexible in choosing how they want to take the exam for each subject, depending on their study schedule and of course, their ability as well. And, studying and achieving IGCSE and A-level certificates certainly has a lot of advantages, but how does it help if students want to study abroad, especially if they want to go to the US? Let's move on to the second part, which is study abroad in the United States. When we talk about the United States, a lot of things come to our mind, right? It can be like the glamorous Hollywood, or it can be basketball, like the NBA, or New York City. And one more thing I like to add is high-ranked, prestigious, most popular universities. So the first reason why students choose to study in the state is that it is the home to the best schools in the world. And the state is a vast region with around like 4,000 universities and colleges. So everybody knows about the Ivy League, right? Of course, they dominate the rankings, but there exists tons of world-class institutions to suit your unique personality, preference, and budget as well. So no worries, you'll find the best college for you. And in the United States, the schools are also famous for their facilities, their professors, and high quality teaching and learning. That's why they attract like the brightest, most excellent students from all around the world. Going to the US also means you get a chance to meet different people from different cultures and backgrounds, which enriches your life experience. Another great thing about studying in the US is that it's very flexible. You don't have to choose a specific major until later on in your undergraduate degree. You can also switch majors multiple times until you find something that really ignites your passion. The next reason is that US University offer a lot of scholarship and financial aid. I know that to some families, cost of attendance is the highest priority, and the US has some of the highest tuition fees in the world. However, many schools across the country offer very generous scholarship and financial aid packages for international students. Of course, there are like several other reasons why a student should choose the state as its destination. The list goes on, but I stop here and I will move on to the next question. So let's say you have decided to go to the US. Can your IGCSE and A-level certificate get you there? So the answer is yes. So IGCSE and A-levels, mostly A-levels, are accepted in more than 850 universities and colleges in the US, including the Ivy League colleges. So when you finish the IGCSE program, you can apply to community colleges or schools that have foundation programs using 5 IGCSE scores at grade C or above. Okay, so if you want to apply with your A-levels to study as a first-year student, you will need 3 scores. Okay, so 3 A-levels. So the higher your grades are, the bigger your chance is. So AS and A-levels are considered college-level courses of study. So in the US, good grades in certain A-level subjects can result in up to 1 year of university course credit. So besides this, in addition, to apply to US colleges, you also need other things such as personal statements, essays, a list of extracurricular activities, recommendation letters, SAT score, and of course, English proficiency test scores such as IELTS, TOEFL, or Duolingo. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next part of my presentation, which is applied to sciences and business major. So business and science have always been 2 of the most popular fields of study in the US. Of course, there are several types of business degrees and science degrees. Let's look at some figures here. So according to the National Center for Education Statistics, in the year 2018-2019, there are almost 400,000 business degrees and more than 120,000 biological and biomedical science degrees. So if you compare these figures to those of other majors like communication technologies or legal professions, there's a huge gap between them. And because business and science are so popular, many students think that these degrees can open doors to a lot of job opportunities in the future. So the question here is, if I want to apply for a business or science major, what subjects should I learn? So here are the subjects we offer this year for IGCSE and A levels. So please take a look at this. I will turn on my pointer as well. So if you want to study business in university and if you want to apply using your IGCSE, we suggest you take English, math, science, and economics. If you want to study science, you can take English, math, science, of course, and environmental management. Okay, for A levels, if you want to use A levels to apply, let's say apply for business, you can take math, English language, or psychology. Okay, or you can take math, psychology, and thinking skills. Okay, so we have a lot of options here. But again, there are over 800 institutions in the US that accept A levels, and the requirement vary from one school to another. So some school only require IGCSE score, some school require 3 A levels, and they will be converted to GPA to be used for application. Some school require like certain subjects that are related to the major you want to study. So let's take a look at some examples. Right here I have the general admission requirement for international applicants to Harvard, so Harvard University. So here it says, will normally study 3 or 4 subjects, okay? Any strong A level will be fine. Students who have A level in all science subjects or with no science subjects will still be fine, okay? So you need 3 A levels and it doesn't matter what they are, right? So, but like to apply to Harvard University, admitted students typically will have like excellent grades like A or A stars, right? Another example from Stanford University. Here it said a student will have taken at least 3 full A-level courses. Okay, so another school required 3 A levels. Okay, another example from the University of Iowa. Let's take a look at this. So the general admission requirements for international applicants are 5 IGCSE, passes with a grade of C or higher in core subjects. AS and A levels can substitute or add subject for admission review. And let's take a look at these 2 bullet points. So 8 semester hours of elective credit will be awarded for each A level with a score of C or higher. So this means if you study certain A level subject and get certain score, you might not have to study some credits in university, which saves like a lot of time, a lot of money and effort, right? And continue. So if you look at the table right here, so let's say you take psychology A level and you get a C or higher, it can be converted into 8 semester hours. 8 semester hours. If you study like thinking skills, A levels, and also get a C or higher, it will also be converted into semester hours. Okay, so you can see studying A levels can be really advantageous, right? Business and science are also the 2 popular fields in the University of Texas at Arlington. And you can also apply to these majors using your IGCSE or A-level certificate. So later on, Ms. Harriet, the school international country coordinator, will give you more details about this. Okay, let's move on. So the best advice I can give you is that you should do your own research because each school and each major has like different entry requirements for applicants. You can go to the school official website, search for information related to the majors in the academic sections, or you can search for information related to international applicants, or you can just drop an email to ask the admission team in those universities because they're the one who knows best about the school, They know best about the major and also the entry requirements you need to meet. So to conclude, Nisai provides students with the Cambridge curriculum with including IGCSE and A-levels. Students can use these certificates to apply to universities around the world, including the US. However, it is crucial that students do their own research on entry requirements of the school because they're all different from one another. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. I hope that my sharing can help you somehow with your process of getting into the university you want and reaching your American dream. Thank you very much for listening.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Diệp, for your valuable sharing. Okay, so to continue our event, I would like everyone to listen to Ms. Harriet Coutinho, International Country Coordinator of UTA, to lead us to UTA and guide us through the educational opportunities at UTA. Please welcome Ms. Harriet.
Thank you, Ms. May, for the lovely introduction. Hello, everyone. Good evening from Ho Chi Minh City. I am presently at Ho Chi Minh. And let me just make sure I have everything ready. Okay, I hope you can see my screen clearly and my volume and everything is perfectly fine. Officially, my name is Harriet Coutinho, International Country Coordinator at the University of Texas at Arlington, also known as UTA. While I'm presenting, feel free to put in your questions in the chat box and I will address them at the end of the presentation. So quickly about UTA. UTA has more than 40,000 students on campus, and out of which 10%, which is 4,000 plus students, are international. And they come from 102 countries as of date. We are also a comprehensive R1 Carnegie classified research university, which allows undergraduate students to become a part of the research team starting semester 1. So you don't have to wait till semester 3. You can start from semester 1 itself if you're interested in becoming a part of the research. UTA also has more than 180 plus degrees. So right from undergraduate, master's, doctorate, we have all of them. So great combination of major and minor studies. Moving on. These are some of our accolades and ranking. However, I would like to focus on one. That is the first one, which is 18 faculty fellow members belong to the National Academy of Inventors. Simply speaking, most of the organizations and state fund our university professors to either create or develop a project on campus that can be used globally. One of the examples I can give you of this is of Dr. Pranesh Aswath, who is the interim provost at the moment. And he has like 7 pages of achievements and accolades. And one of them is he got a patent in 2018 for creating a universal grease that is being used as a lubricant in aircrafts. So you're not only studying from teachers or professors who have PhD alone, but come from the industry. They are industry professional. And so your classroom is always more inclined towards, practical application learning. Okay. So these are our 8 colleges, popular for engineering and business, followed by science, liberal arts, nursing, and many more. Within engineering and all other, colleges, computer science, economics, psychology, biology, physics, architecture, and many more are some of the most popular major among international students. We do have an honors college, which is the 9th college, which is highly competitive, and I'm wearing the polo shirt right now. And you need to have a high GPA in order to qualify for the honors college. Now, within engineering, business, and science majors, most of the programs are STEM recognized and do not have a strict subject specification. However, we do encourage students to have PCM, which is physics, chemistry, and math, especially if you're looking at engineering programs or certain programs in College of Science. Business program, architecture, all others do not require any specific subject if you have good grades within the subjects that you've already chosen to study. I would also like to share some of the examples of UT Arlington and the research and other activities that students do. So with research, within the College of Science Biology program, our department is presently working on something called as a cancer sponge. Now, cancer sponge is like a small band-aid that is slapped on your forearm, and it is mainly given to patients undergoing chemotherapy. So chemotherapy is physically painful, and what the band-aid does is it eliminates the signals that are sent to your brain, alerting your mind that you're in physical pain right now. So the patients undergo chemotherapy but do not receive any signaling to their brain about the pain or discomfort, if any. So that's one thing that we are working on. And in College of Business, we have a similar concept like Shark Tank. I'm not sure if you've heard about it, but if you Google Shark Tank, you'll know what I'm speaking about. So in simple words, Shark Tank is where you have a business idea. You must pitch the idea to the department. And if they like it, they will connect you with potential business owners or investors. And then you can take, the idea further from there. With engineering students, all our classes have practical application, and we have theory, but everything that we've studied has to be put into, an application-based performance. One of the examples I can give you is of mechanical engineering. Students studying in automotive engineering must build an F1 car, the Formula One race car, right from scratch. So your engine, the body parts, tires, etc., everything, you have to build it. And then there is a national collegiate racing where we can participate. So irrespective of who wins, we come back and try to rework on, what was great about the design, or should we change the design? So we try to understand how to make it more efficient. This year we lost to Purdue because one of our students had changed the design to understand the car can be more effective. And this is what UTA allows. UTA allows students to experiment and apply with their creativity, as it is a learning and creative environment. So we do want you to come up with your creation and application and so on. Now, within the College of Science, again, psychology is mainly focused on neuroscience. We do not have clinical psychology. We have psychology focused on neuroscience, along with industrial, cognitive, and experimental psychology. Departments do collaborate from time to time to assist one another to succeed. So when an engineering student is creating a robot and wants to code emotions, they do take the assistance of psychology department to understand the variations of human emotions to ensure a successful coding is established. So these are some of the things that UT Arlington within the research team they are doing. And lastly, I would want to give you one more example that comes from the physics department, wherein one of our students was fully sponsored to visit a conference in Hawaii to present on physics. The same student also works on CERN Hydro Collider. Now, CERN is a place in Switzerland, and they have a hydro collider where they gather data on particles, atmosphere and environment changes, and that data is sent to 5 universities in the US, including UT Arlington and Purdue. So what students do is they work on this data that has been given to them, and they come up with calculations or solutions and send it back to CERN. And this is called active engagement in research. So you're not working on hypothetical research, you're actually working on an active engagement. So having said that, please do check our research website. You will find a list. And moving on to our application process. Now, our application process is very simple. You can apply via Common App, or you can also apply through applytexas.org. Fill in the application as per your passport details to avoid any errors. So just to make sure your first name, last name, all of it, that has to match with your passport. There is an application fee of $75, which I am happy to waive off if you decide to apply. Please connect with your Nisai counselors and they can let me know and I'll process it. Apart from this, we only need is 3 things, nothing more, nothing less. So we need first is your transcripts. So grade 9, 10th, 11th, and 12th, we need those mark sheets. Then we need is the English proficiency test. UT Arlington accepts IELTS, TOEFL, or Duolingo English test scores. Now, this is a compulsory test and will not be waived off for any student. So please make sure that when you apply, you have your English proficiency test score. And the third one is the SAT or ACT scores. Now, again, SAT and ACT is not compulsory, but most of our programs within engineering may require them. But again, it's mostly optional. Now, having said that, I do encourage SAT or ACT because of scholarships, which I will talk a little further in the slides. So only for scholarship purposes, do appear for either of the examinations. Now, I know you come from IG or A levels, and we accept both. UT Arlington accepts all education boards as long as they meet the American standard of education. Now, with IG and A levels, we don't have a specific number of subject requirements. So we know that in A levels, if you have 75% and higher, or A stars with an exception of maybe 1B, we are good to go. Again, it depends which program you're applying for. So if it's STEM related, then stick with having a 75% and higher, or straight A's, maybe 1B as an exception. We do all evaluations in-house. So everything is calculated by us in our software. So please do not worry about the GPA calculations. And yes. So this is the admission requirements tab, and all the scores mentioned are minimum, which makes you eligible to apply. However, if you have higher scores, then your admission processing is much smoother. So higher scores are always preferred. And you can see the TOEFL, IELTS scores and everything mentioned over there. Okay, now coming back to this slide talking about scholarships. Now, we have 3 different types of international scholarship. First is merit-based scholarship, in which if you have a GPA of 2.7 or 2.9, depending if you are applying for a STEM or a non-STEM program, you could qualify for scholarships directly. So you don't need any separate application or scholarship essays, nothing. All you have to do is put in an application, and if we find it fit, we will send it to the scholarship department. If you receive $1,000 in scholarship amount, you will become eligible for in-state tuition, which means you do not pay the international tuition. You pay the domestic tuition, which is around $18,000. So our international is $26,000 and domestic is $18,000. So you will pay the domestic fee. Then there is, of course, the Presidential Scholarship and Maverick Scholarship. Both are set at 50% and 25% off on tuition respectively. However, they have their own requirements like SAT scores, essays, interview, and so on. It is advisable for you to apply with UTA on or before November 1, just to ensure that you do not miss out on anything. Although our website does mention December 1 as a deadline, but I always encourage you to finish your applications way ahead, just to make sure you don't miss anything. So yes, this is the cost of attendance. This is a total expense that you need to study at UT Arlington. As an undergraduate student, you need a total of $42,000, almost $43,000 per year. If a scholarship is granted, that amount, the scholarship amount, will be reduced from the tuition. So this is where I was talking about 26,000 becomes 18,000 if you get the in-state scholarship. Okay, now coming to student services. Some of our student services are listed here. International students must always connect with Office of International Education to ensure that you have all the right answers in regards to any process involved. We have the Lockheed Martin Career Development Center. that will assist you to be well prepared when an internship or a job opportunity arises. Now, they are the ones who will prepare you for interviews, grooming, how to negotiate for salaries, and so on. All you must do is, you must start a dialogue with them to understand what services they can provide and the timely manner that is to be provided in. And also, UT Arlington has a boutique that is sponsored by JC Penney, where you do not have to buy formals for an interview. You have to just visit the boutique, meet the assistant, and find the right suitable attire for your interviews. This is all free for students. Once your interview is done, you return the clothes, it is dry cleaned and hung back on the shelves. So this helps you if you do not have or do not want to buy an expensive business formal for maybe a 1 or 2 interviews. We do have 65 employers visiting twice a year. And, we always inform students to start preparing well in advance for these 2 interviews that happen in January and August to ensure that you are well prepared. And coming to the 300 plus student organizations and clubs, we do encourage you to register for at least one of them. Now, we have the Vietnamese International Student Association, which you can participate in, as well as we have multiple development classes, and one of them is where you learn to shake hands. Not all countries require a handshake, and not all countries encourage handshake with the opposite gender, but this will be helpful when you work internationally once graduated. So this is one of the classes I'm talking about, but go ahead, sign up for one of them. Coming to earn while you earn. Okay, now international students, as you know, are allowed to work for 20 hours a week and get paid about $8 to $10 an hour. There are plenty of job openings on campus, right from cafeteria, athletics department, business offices, and so on. Our office of admission, the one that I work in, is the only one that is very competitive in hiring, as we have student data and confidentiality in place. So if another student refers you, only then we shall be hiring you. When it comes to the honors college, the one I said is competitive and you should apply if you're like an A-star student. When you work with honors college on campus, you get paid $17 an hour. And these are some of the perks of being an honors student on campus. Okay, so we've reached the end of the slide. Thank you for being a great audience. If you have any questions, please unmute and speak directly, or you could also put the questions in the chat box and I will be happy to address them. I have shared my email address, so if you would like to write to me directly, you can, or you can also connect with your counselors and they can, connect with me to clarify any questions. But thank you once again for being lovely as an audience, and I'm hoping to taking any questions now.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Harriet, for all of your useful information about the UTA. Okay, so before we enter the next part of the webinar, I would like everyone to watch a short video about Nisai. Parents and students, please scan the QR code in the video to check in for more useful information and offers from Nisai. Currently, we are offering taster class program where sign-up students are allowed to experience English as the first language lesson with international teachers and students for free. The class is open every Friday. In addition, there is a limited number of slots available for the Nisai presentation course to 2022. In this course, students will learn the fundamental techniques to be a pro presenter. Students will be able to demonstrate what they have learned in their final presentation project. The class is open every Wednesday. With regards of these 2 programs, interested parents and students can contact Nisai via the QR code in the video to sign up. Okay, follow the agenda. Now it's time for everyone to discuss and share their thoughts. Since we first published the official announcement about this webinar, parents from all over Asia have been sending questions to Nisai. Today, we only have about 30 minutes for the Q&A session. So we will proceed with the questions picked up from the text chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the text chat. Thank you. Okay, so I have received some questions in the text chat, so I will read it. For the first one, what are the opportunities for A-level students to study in the USA with scholarships? Can I ask Ms. Harriet to answer this question for the audience?
Sure. Thank you for that question. Now, as an A-level student, we do not have where you need to take a compulsion of 5 subjects. You can very well take 3 subjects as long as you're doing well, you're fine with it. Now, as a student, we do all the GPA calculations in-house, depending what program you're applying for. And once we see that you have the required GPA, the grade point average that we look at out of scale of 4, if you have like the state GPA always is 3.0 and higher, depending which program you're applying, but we start with 2.7. So if we see that you've met that GPA requirement, we send it to the scholarship department, and then they review your profile. And they are the ones who decide on what scholarship amount should be awarded. So if you get $1,000 in scholarship from the scholarship department directly, you become eligible for the National Merit Scholarship. And that's direct. There's no application, no scholarship essays, nothing. So that's something we do, even if you are not updated. And if you qualify, we will let you know. So at least with UT Arlington, it is transparent of how you get qualified for the scholarship and how that scholarship amount, is it renewable, is it applicable for all 4 years, all the information will be given. So I hope that answers your question. With A levels, IGCSE both, application scholarships are easier as long as you have good scores.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Harriet, for the answer. Okay, so we will come to the second question. How will you as a university accept and evaluate A-level certificate? Can I ask Ms. Diep to answer this question?
So what we do is, and I always say to students, please do not go onto Google. Do not use the GPA calculator because that's not the correct information. If it was that simple, I would be processing applications every day, but that's not the case. So how we do it is we take your transcripts, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th predictive or the 12th final results, and we look at every subject that you have studied. And I'm going to use an example just to make it more clear. If you are a student who wants to study a business program, okay, so we will look at all the subjects you've studied: mathematics, science, history, geography. I'm just randomly taking subject names. And we know for business, maybe math is important and language as in English is important. So we will look at 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, and we will try to map it with the American education and if it needs the equivalency of it. We won't count history or we won't count geography as much because that's not really relevant to business program. It's a great knowledge, but it's not really relevant. So that is how we look at what program you're applying and what subjects you've already studied that gives the relevance and the credit to the program. And we calculate based on that. So you may be surprised that maybe Google tells you have a 3.2 GPA out of 4. And when we process, it just comes down to 2.8 or maybe 3.6 as well sometimes. So it depends upon the program you have applied and all the subjects you've studied, every term or every semester examination, and we look at every detail. So yes, it's a whole lot of process.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Harriet. So, Ms. Diep, do you want to add any more information for this question?
Okay, thanks so much for the question. So in terms of the question is how will like the US university accept A levels, right? So I just want to add that as I said in my speech, there are more than 800 colleges and school like accept A level certificates, and they consider A levels like college prep course. So obviously, when student like enrolling studying for A levels, it will have like a huge advantage compared to those who does not have like these kind of international qualifications. So a lot of school require a student to study like foundation program or like pathway program to move on to study first year at university. So if you have A levels, you don't have to study like the foundation program, which again save a lot of time and money and effort, obviously. So yes, that's all I'd like to ask. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think it is all the information is very useful for the audience today. Okay, so coming to the next question, an audience have asked about the UTA, so I will read it. Any merit scholarships for international students in the UTA? Miss Harriet, yeah?
Yes, so we have 3 scholarships to offer. One of them, of course, is the national merit, where if you get $1,000, $1,000, you become eligible for in-state, and that's one. Then we have 2 more, which is Maverick and Presidential, set at 25 and 50% off on tuition. But that has its own requirements. So you will have to put in, you may have to write a brilliant scholarship essay. You will have to sit for an interview. You may require SAT scores. And Maverick and Presidential both have different scores when it comes to SAT. So I will share the catalog link, and please check that because that's the most recent or most updated link that we have. So each semester, even if something changes by 0.1, we will update it. So it's pretty simple. All we ask you to do is, we don't have deadlines. We only ask you to apply well in advance before the priority date, because our universities first come, first served. Yes, we have a lot of money to give, but as soon as we start distributing it in scholarship, the pool becomes smaller and smaller. So even if you are a perfect score student, and if you've applied pretty late in the semester, there's a possibility, even if you want to grant you $10,000, we can't because we're only left with 2,000. So just apply very well in time to become eligible for those kind of scholarships.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Harriet. Okay, so the next question is also about the UTA. Any prerequisite needed to enroll in chemistry study in UTA?
Okay, that's a great question. And that is not only limited to chemistry, but it is for all programs. We do not have any prerequisites when it comes to undergraduate programs. Yes, we do encourage students to have biology, physics, math, chemistry. We're looking at STEM or maybe very focused program. That's something we encourage. In case if you've not studied, that's perfectly fine. But when it comes to chemistry, when it comes to, biology, we do ask you to have some background. In case, again, if you don't have that background, that's perfectly fine. You can come on campus and we can start with the foundation course. You still have to learn it. There is no way of skipping those. So you learn it and you finish your bachelor's degree, maybe in chemistry or biology at the end, within the 4 years of stipulated time. So you don't even extend the time period. It's the same length of education time, but you do have to put in extra hours to learn.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Harriet. Okay, so the next question I want to ask Ms. Diep. What are the available grants for international students? Okay, please.
Okay, so thank you so much for your questions. So as I've said, if you want to apply to US, the cost of attendance, like the tuition fee, is definitely like one of the highest priorities, right? And of course, the US school do provide students with like grants, scholarship, financial aid, but it's very competitive. Okay, so because you're asking about like grant and scholarship, I think that there are a few ways that school can give the student scholarship. First of all, they will look at like their academic performance. They will look at the grades. They will look at like the other parts of the application, like the essay, like the list of activities. So there are a lot of requirements you need to meet. So again, it depends on each school. It depends on like what major you're applying for. So my advice is that you go to the school website to find out all about like the grants, the requirements, everything. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Ms. Diep, for your valuable sharing. Okay, so the next question will be about the UTA for Ms. Harriet. Does UTA have scholarships for homeschoolers?
So our scholarships are the same. And it doesn't matter which education board you come up from, even if you're homeschooled, you still are getting an examination, right? You're still going to have a degree at the end of it. So as long as you're graduating, you submit the transcripts to us, we will evaluate. And we do not do any biases, irrespective of which education board you come from. But yes, we do want it to be a recognized body at the end when you are graduating. And that's all we care. So yes, homeschool, you will be getting admitted if you have the good possible GPA. And of course, scholarship follows.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So we move to the next question. How many subjects should students need to take to apply in the US? Does US University give scholarship to homeschooler? Can I ask Ms. for about this question?
Okay, so again, as I said, so each school will require will have different requirements. So some school will require 4 IGCSE, some require 5, some school require 3 A levels. So the most important thing is that you need to do your own research before you decide to apply to any school. So normally Nisai student will study around 4 to 5 subjects to get 4 or 5 IGCSE. So that's what students normally do at Nisai. And do school give homeschooler scholarship? So as Ms. Harriet just said, I think that in the United States, people value equality. So everyone is the same. Everyone will have the same chance, no matter what school you go to, public school or private school. If you homeschooler, or if you attend an online school, it doesn't matter. So as long as you prove that you're the good fit for the university, you meet all the requirements, you have a strong application, then you're good to go and you will get a scholarship.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Mithya, for your sharing. Okay, so the next question I still want to ask Mithya, because if my children apply for undergraduate art, do they need to study what subject or any A-level subject?
Okay, so in my presentation, I've already mentioned some of the examples from the top school in the US. And as you can see, they do not require any specific A levels. They just require 3 A levels. As you can see, Harvard University, they require 3 A levels. It doesn't matter if you have science or not. So it doesn't matter. And also, students applying to the US do not have to choose their major until later on in their degree. So they will have a lot of chance and time to figure out what they actually like. So I think that any A level would be fine.
Yeah, really great for your answer. Okay, so the next question. I heard the UTA has 75% international students applying with IGCSE. Do you have any statistics related to how many percentage of these got scholarship? Ms. Harriet, can you answer this question?
Sure. First of all, I don't know where you got the data that 75% IGCSE students got admission at UTA, because even I don't have that data. We still are working on gathering those information. But yes, it's true that we take students from each and every education board as long as they're recognized. And we don't have the specific percentages when it comes to which board what scholarship is given, because we don't give scholarship as per board. Because when we do the GPA calculation, we look at only the GPA and it has to match with our requirements. And that's how we forward the file to the scholarship department. So it's not like if you're an IB or an A levels or a local board, we do not differentiate based on that because we've already done the GPA calculations.
Yeah, okay, so the next question is about the UTA too. What are majors can I apply at UTA with A levels in English, math, and psychology?
English, math, and psychology. So it depends if you have straight A's in all subjects or if you have a B somewhere or a C somewhere. But I'm just going to take a general outcome of you have all A's. I'm just assuming. So you can, of must apply to all three programs, English, mathematics, psychology, but you're not limited to those. You can also opt for programs that have nothing to do with math, science, psychology, or any subject that you've spoken. So as long as you know what you want to study and you've decided on a major, that's perfectly fine. You can also come as an undecided student. If you're someone like me who wants to study like 7 different subjects, or someone who does not know what they want to study, please come on campus as undecided, explore. You may take about 4, 5, or 6 subjects from all different colleges and study them semester wise, and it's going to be rigorous. Just because you've taken several subjects does not mean it's going to be easy. You still put in the hard work, you do the practical application, and then you start eliminating the subjects that do not interest you or you don't see your career outcome in it. And then you are just left with maybe 1 or 2 programs you're really into, and that's how you graduate. And I know Ms. Strand did speak about, you can change your major multiple times, and that is the beauty of US education. Even the decided students who come on campus, they still change programs. So, and we encourage, do not change it more than 3 times. And that is why we have a counseling office on campus who speak with you almost every week to understand what are your challenges, what are your interests. And they are the ones who assist you in finding the right fit program for you. So yes, if you change it more than 3 times, remember that the time period starts increasing and the cost of those studies will also start increasing. So maybe up to 3 times is fine to change a major, but more than that, you have certain cost aspects to it.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for your answer, Ms. Harriet. For the next question, I want to ask Ms. Diep about this. What the comprehensive Nisai curriculum can give to the student access to the UTA?
Okay, thank you very much for your questions. So normally students at Nisai, as I said, study around like 4 or 5 subjects in IGCSE. So if you want to apply using your IGCSE, I suggest you take, for example, like the 3 most important like basic subjects such as like English, math, science, and then you can study economics, environmental management, or sociology. Okay. And after you finish like 2 years of studying IGCSE and you get like an IGCSE certificate, you can proceed to study A-levels. And in A-levels, normally students would choose like 3 subjects. They would choose like English language, math, and for the 3rd subject, they can choose like thinking skill or psychology. So we suggest that you study, like you finish A-levels, not just because you can get a certificate, but because A-level is also a great step to prepare for college study because they're considered like college prep courses. So yeah, that's my advice.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Ms. Diep, for your answer. So the next question is, do students need to take SAT if they have IGCSE and A-level certificates? Ms. Diep, can you answer this question? Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much. So normally, if you apply to the United States, then the answer is yes, you will need the SAT, but it depends on like each school. As I said, some school require SAT, some school don't. So just make sure that you do your research and you prepare before you apply. So yes, my answer is yes, you need to take SAT, even if you have IGCSE and A-levels.
Yeah, about this question, Ms. Harriet, do you want to add any more question?
Sure. So with UT Arlington, I'll stick with that. But Ms. Tran is completely right. It depends. That's the golden word with US University. It depends. So with UT Arlington, it doesn't matter again which board of education you come from. SAT and ACT are standardized examinations to understand that all of you, when I say all of you, all your classmates coming from different boards, different countries have the same level of analytical skills, mathematical skills, language proficiency, whatever that examination covers. So we are trying to understand that you all meet that requirement. But again, SAT, ACT is optional at UT Arlington, except for certain programs, it might be compulsion that you have to appear for it, but most programs do not require them. But yes, please remember SAT, ACT also plays an important role with most universities when it comes to scholarships, if not academics.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Harriet, for your answer and valuable information. Okay, so the next question we have received is, my son is in NS3. How can Nisai NS3 and IGCSE support students who want to pass SAT? Ms. Yip, please answer this question.
So thank you so much for your question. Unfortunately, we haven't provided any support for students who want to take the SAT, but of course you can always do research online and get some past paper to prepare for the examination. Yes, so currently we only provide students with Cambridge curriculum, including IGCSE and A-levels.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Ms. Diep, for your valuable information and your answer for this question. Okay, so until now, I think that we don't have any more questions for the speakers. So ladies and gentlemen, the event is ending soon. As the host of the event today, we would like to thank our honored guests, teachers, parents, and students who have spent their precious time joining the event. Your support is extremely valuable to us. We hope that you will continue to support us in the future. And thank you so much, and see you again in our next event. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having UT Arlington. And once again, if you need any information, please write to me directly, or please have Ms. Tran connect with me directly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody, for attending the webinar today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. See you again.